This morning we're going to be looking at crisis tranquilizers in marriage and relationship. Our view and observation and concentration is going to be number one on how to down tensions among families, marriages and relationship. Number two, how to build some creative means of relating with in-laws, which is very, very important. I remember while preparing for this service, the Lord told me that there are three people you must prepare for when you're getting married. One is your spouse, the other are your in-laws, and then the third are the children. You must prepare for this. Anybody who is not prepared for these three categories of persons can never have a successful home or a successful marriage. Proverbs chapter 18 and verse 21. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. Verse 22. Whoso findeth a wife findeth a good thing, and obtaineth favor of the Lord. Take your seat quickly. Marriage can either be death to you or life to you. Relationship can either be death or life to you. There are three ways to handle relationship or marital crisis. Either of these three ways. Number one, solve the problem. Two, ignore the problem. Three, walk away from the relationship or the marriage. So throughout life, it is either of these solutions that people have used. And if you are to ask me which is the best in dealing with crisis in relationship or in marriage, I will tell you that it is the first one. Settle down to solve the problem. You must settle down to solve the crisis. Except otherwise, when you realize in courtship particularly, or in the relationship, that the both of you are not compatible. But if you've crossed the courtship level, the relationship level, you have crossed the courtship level, then what you should be doing right now is to making sure that the marriage works. 7 signs of a relationship or a marriage that is already in crisis. Number one is constant complaining and criticism. The moment you begin to notice constant complaints and constant criticism in any relationship or marriage, know that there are crises already. Either the crisis are about to form or the crisis have already formed, and then you are seeing the outcome of those crises. Number two sign of crisis in the relationship or marriage is called disrespect and defensiveness. 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 1 to verse 6. Why should the Bible talk about a man knowing how to treat the woman? Because to a large extent, everybody is either disrespectful directly or indirectly, or they are defensive. The greatest treasure of a woman is not the makeup. The greatest treasure of a woman is the state of her heart. So that facial appearance is good, but it's not the most important thing. The most important thing in the life of a woman is the heart. That kind, nurturing, receptive, hospitable heart that welcomes the man home, that magnets the attention of the man. Then to the man, the greatest asset that you will ever have is how to treat your wife or the lady you're going to marry with respect. One of the biggest mistakes some young men have done is when a young guy feels that he's doing a lady favor by asking her hand in marriage. The third signs of crisis in a relationship or marriage is decline in attention given. When you notice that that attention is no longer there, then know that there are crises. And there are several things that leads to decline in attention given. Number one is lack of appreciation. Where there is no appreciation, there is a decline in attention given. The man seems not to be giving the wife attention anymore. Or the guy who is courting the lady, genuine courtship, clean, neat courtship, is no longer giving attention to the lady. Or the lady is no longer giving attention to the guy. Or the woman, the wife, is not giving attention to the man. There are major things that keeps a man in a relationship or in marriage. Outside food, outside sex. That major thing is called respect. It doesn't matter how good a cook you are as a woman. The day your husband realizes that respect is gone, everything about him towards you begins to decline. The fourth sign is called anger and frustration. Anytime you realize that when you do something as a woman, your husband gets easily angry and becomes easily irritated towards you, then know that there are crises already boiling or brawling. When your wife begins to feel frustrated and depression sets in, know that there are crises cooking somewhere. Number 5, when both partners begin to live a separate life in the same house but very separate. When the man begins to become possessive about properties. When the woman begins to live segregatively or living separately in the same house under the same roof, she begins to claim, okay, this is my own. This is my own. When you are married, let's assume the woman was the one that bought the car. Or let's even assume that you have 2 cars. And the woman bought one. Normally, anybody can drive anybody's car in the home. The husband can drive the wife's car without the woman claiming that that is my car. The man can drive the woman's car without the man. The woman can drive the man's car without the man claiming that is my car. But the moment you begin to hear the woman say, please don't touch my car key, know that there are crises boiling already. The 6th sign is greed and selfishness. You begin to notice greed and selfishness. The man no longer tells the wife how much he owns. When money comes, he no longer tells her. The woman becomes selfish. She no longer shares things with the husband. Everybody begins to own things to themselves. Nobody is ready to share anything with each other. Number 7 is when there are open doors to the third parties. They allow people in. The Bible speaking in the book of Proverbs chapter 6. It said there are 6 things God hates. The 7th one is an abomination unto the Lord. And that is the person that sows the seed of discord among brethren. There are people who sow seeds of bitterness in relationships. They sow seed of bitterness in marriages. But hear this. These people cannot come in until either of the parties open the doors to them. We're not talking about a third party that comes in with a solution. We're talking about the third party that comes in to increase the problem on ground. So these are the 7 key signs of a marriage or a relationship that are in crisis. The question now is, what solution do we give to these things? What are the solutions to a marriage or a relationship that is in crisis? The number 1 solution is called positive communications. Proverbs chapter 15 and verse 1. A soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. Communication is a two-way thing. You speak, I hear you. I speak, you hear me. Communication is when discussion gets to a point of understanding. Talking is when only one party is trying to express his or herself. Write this down. Some people talk because they have something to say. Others talk because they have to say something. The first part makes sense. The second one is an expression of either vengeance or a refusal to want to claim that you are not inferior. So you respond not because you have something constructive to say, but because you need to say something because that person said something. In communication, you don't talk to people, you talk with people. In many marriages and relationships, when the husband and wife are talking, they are not talking with each other, they are talking to each other. So communication is a strong key in dealing with relationship or marital crisis. In communication, you sit down to discuss with each other. You must know how to talk and what to say. It's not just enough to say something. It's very important to know how to say what you want to say. Proverbs chapter 15 verse 1. Say a soft answer. There are soft answers and there are harsh answers. Which one are you going to choose? A soft one turns away wrath. Some words are healing, they carry healing, they are therapeutical. Others are toxic. The same speaker, the same word. So in communication, know what to say, how to say what to say, and when to say what must be said.